Eastern suburbs. We took flight. Come on. Morning Bondi, southern skies ignite. From the east our spirits rise. Red, white, blue, our story told. From nothing we rose, made our claim. Eastern pride, we built our name. Stronger now, we never fall. Rooster spirit standing tall. Yeah, come on, feel that pride. Let's go. Since the start, the legacy lives. Passion, power, the heartbeat gives. Red and blue, we walk with pride. Fans by side, can't hide our vibe. Flags up high, crowd in sync. Roosters rule, we never blink. Eastern suburbs. Eastern suburbs. Red, white, and blue, we're flying high. Sydney Roosters reach the sky. Eastern suburbs. Roosters! Get up! Feel that pride! Grand on fire, glory set. Fighting with fire, no regrets. Yeah! Every tackle, every try, hit hard.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Sydney Roosters Diehards. It is Haynesy here, and we are here for your Sydney Roosters Diehards weekend wrap-up as we go through the latest Roosters news and opinions from out the weekend. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for your Sunday evening as we get done the first weekend of the season out the way. Obviously, Friday night, we have to get into what happened on Friday, but we will. But yeah, so go through obviously bits and pieces. Hear what you guys had to say over the weekend. Go through the lower grade pathways, the junior pathways, and the senior pathways. Their results over the weekend, and any questions and stuff that you might need to ask over the next few minutes or so. Please do in the comments down below. I really appreciate your time coming on. So, as before we begin, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the Sydney Roosters Diehards, and give us a follow on the Instagram for latest Roosters news, updates, and opinions. I also want to say, guys, thank you very much. We hit 550 subscribers on the Diehards YouTube channel, starting to really build the community. And like I said, I'd like to thank you guys for coming on throughout the socials over the weekend. Obviously, we had our match day content to watch along on my channel, Haynesy TV at 1500 there. Most viewed live stream on Friday night after the result against the Warriors, about over 350. So, all up viewers. So I know it doesn't seem a lot, but it is to me. So I do thank you guys, and obviously the play ratings video as well. Have starting to grow a little bit of the channel. I think I know it doesn't seem a lot, but 11 subscribers in the last week. Shows that there's a community here, and I'd like to thank you guys for being a part of it. Really do appreciate it. But that said, hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get underway. Starting off with the live chat, we've got Nathan Dallas. Connor Watson should be playing at lock, and it's Spencer Lynn out for Friday. Is it a bad injury? About Spencer, look, Robbo did say in the press conference on Friday that it wasn't too bad, but obviously not good enough to play. So hopefully the best result, just a bit of hamstring tightness that as a precaution ruled him out, or was it a bit of a low grade strain? So a 1 to 2 week injury maybe, but obviously I'm guessing what I'd say we'll know more tomorrow with the medical report if it comes out. I'm sure they will. The Roosters will put out a statement around the medical report. Obviously, there hasn't been anything. It's been listed on the NRL's casualty ward website on NRL.com. It was just said to be confirmed with a hamstring injury. So I'm obviously he would have got scans when he come back home to Sydney either yesterday or today, and we'll know more probably. I'd say probably tomorrow. We'll get a little bit of the latest there. So look, maybe not next week. Not Friday. I'd say probably next week against the Panthers game. Probably the earliest return, unless, if it's just hamstring tightness and, they've just gave him, that just ruled him out as a precaution. I'd say highly unlikely that he'll play this week, probably the week after for Spencer Leniu. But we'll know more then, probably tomorrow. Craig Elliott, they have probably never laced on a boot. Obviously, that's in relation to the title, which we will discuss very, very shortly. G'day, Jason. How are you, my friend? Bring on the Rabbits next week. Yes, big game coming up on Friday night. We'll get into it as the week unfolds. Nathan in Dallas says, is Hugo and Toya okay? Hugo might be available this week. Obviously, he's still... Nothing's really been said on Hugo's available. Like I said, he was in a moon boot in the... After the Para game. This was because of a high ankle sprain. It's nothing bad. I think he's just still trying to get over. I think it's a pretty bad rolled ankle, and probably maybe another week or two as well. Could be available this week. Like I said, probably maybe we might know more Monday, because obviously it hasn't been said. No official confirmation from the Roosters or from the NRL.com, so, or the NRL physio. So, but I'm just going from what I saw when I was at the trial game against Parramatta 2 weeks ago, and still not 100% right. So maybe, hopefully, that this week that he might be available this week, because we might need Hugo in some capacity this weekend. Who knows? And in terms of Rob Toya, early diagnosis, obviously still late stages of his recovery from that Lou Frank injury. I think he copped in that Pacific Championship game. That was the reason why he was ruled out. On the NRL website, NRL Casualty Ward, that it was named that Rob Toya is available to return this week. So obviously that's probably some good news that maybe Rob Toya is going to be available this week. Obviously we'll know more throughout the week, but going off what early reports that he is available for selection, able to return this week. So that's some good news that Toya might be available this week, but obviously we'll know more probably when the casualty report comes out. And it'd be very interesting to see if Robert actually names Toya this week, maybe in the extended squad. Who knows? But yeah, and especially as well, no report either on Tommy Talau with a knee injury. I'm guessing the same thing applies that probably yesterday, that he would have got a scan when he got back to see the damage of that knee injury. Obviously he won't be playing this week, of course, but in the long term, how the repercussions of that injury from Tommy Talau, I'm guessing a full medical report will be posted by the club probably tomorrow sometime. Right, let's get into the first talking point from tonight, and that is around some disturbing comments that I haven't seen, no one's really seen, but was reported by the Roosters on Friday night in the comment section after the loss against the Warriors, in relation to, obviously we touched on a little bit after the game on Friday, but in the relation to the death threats towards some of our players. I think I have a rough idea on who was it related to, but I just needed to get this off my chest, because even though I did say a little bit on Friday, I'm more calm about it now, but because on Friday when I read those comments from the Roosters on the socials, I was seeing red. I'm not going to lie, I was seeing red, seeing what the Roosters had to say about it, because it's just unacceptable. We understand, as a fan, we get passionate, we get all the emotions when your team's playing, and the emotions that go through your team supporting your team, and when it doesn't go your way and your team doesn't win, it's not a great feeling. Obviously I was sitting, obviously now 2 days on, still gutted about the performance, and but Friday I was eagerly disappointed from what happened, and at the same time, we understand that, the emotions are at that high, running high after a loss. We say things that we don't want to say, and as we were pretty well documented about nearly 2 years ago, I was in that same boat, not to player related, but we all know what happened. So we all say things that we don't mean to say when, the emotions and, and that kind of stuff. But this kind of stuff is just not acceptable. To death threat a player based on a performance it's just so immature, so childish. And like I said, I understand, when your team loses, you feel it. I feel it. Especially as a content creator, I feel it more than most, because there's a lot of people that love to dig into the fact that the Roosters lost, and they go straight into my DMs, straight into my comment section, and I cop it when the Roosters lose. But at the same time, though, I understand, it's not great to lose. No one likes losing. But like at the same time, you gotta consider the fact that the guys that you're relating it to, they're human beings, right? They're not, even though they're professional athletes and they're well paid and all that kind of stuff, they're still human beings. They still have, the same emotions, the same feelings, as the same thing as we have. The only difference is that they're professional athletes who, are gifted, that they have talented enough to be in this position that we aren't, right? But that doesn't give us the right to shit on them in that capacity. Obviously, I'm not saying don't ever criticize a player. Like you do it, you can criticize a player, but you do it in the right way. Constructive criticism, it's always, that should always be allowed. You should be able to you should have the right to say to a player, well, not like directly, but like in conversation or in, just in general, they had a bad game. You have every right to go, oh, he didn't have a great game. So obviously in relation to Daly Cherry Evans, DC didn't have a great game on Friday night. We have every right to go out and say DC wasn't great. He was terrible, right? We all have the right to say that. A lot of people have their opinions about certain players and all that kind of stuff. I totally understand that. I really do. But at the same time, you don't overstep the mark. You don't go over that line. Once you go over that line, you can't go back. You can't go back. And some fans, obviously, hasn't been named and shamed yet. And I hope the Roosters, obviously, they're doing it. They've reported it. The NRL Integrity Unit are going to do a full investigation. And the people who have, ta-ta, bye-bye. Because it's just not welcome in our game, and especially within our fan base. That should not be tolerated whatsoever. And I just hope that, we can all learn from this. Like I know, we don't agree or disagree on some things in relation of a signing or if a player at our club. At the end of the day, they wear our colours. They represent our team that we support. They deserve our support. And they have a bad game, sure. In a respectable way, let them know they didn't have a great game. You can still share your emotions and your feedback and criticism in a respectful way, but you don't go overstep. You don't overstep to the point where you're threatening a person, meaningful or not. You don't go out and threaten someone of, ending their life kind of thing. You got to consider the fact as well, the person who was involved, I'm not naming who it was. I'm not naming who the person was. We don't have any information about it. I think we all can agree who it is that we're relating to. But you got to remember as well that this, even though he's a professional athlete, he's still a human being. He has family, he has friends, and I couldn't imagine what it feel like to be through either an Instagram comment or through a DM or anything like that, to be saying that this person is going to threaten to end your life. Like I just wouldn't know how to feel about it. So, to the person, whoever involved in, like, obviously, please know that this is not the Roosters way as a fan base. We're much classier than that, and I hope that you're okay. I know it must be, I don't know what else to say about that on his part of it, but just please note that, obviously us fan base, we respect, and we respect our players or everyone who represents our club, and whoever puts on the tricolours that we love and support. And yeah, to the person and the people involved in this, I don't know what else to say about it. You don't deserve to wear our colours. You don't deserve to, be a member of this club, support this team, if you're going and, threatening people like that. It's just not acceptable. You can disagree, dislike a player. That's all good. Like, obviously, we have a lot of people in our community that don't like specific players, and that's completely fine. And but you don't overstep the line. And I think that's the message that I want to come out and bring, reshare tonight, is like, you don't go over that line. And the people who do, should be called out. And I see it all the time. Like, I see Angus Crichton, he, when on a random Instagram post, he comes out and he names and shames people that DM him very inappropriate things, and good on him, because at the end of the day, these guys are human beings. And I don't know whether or not if it's in relation to whether or not you agree with him being here, but I think what the major problem is for me, I think it's more because of the fact of the gambling in this sport, and in sport and anywhere around the world, where people put money, bet bets on their teams playing, and when they lose money off it, and they're obviously going to be very, very angry about it. And that's one of the reasons why I don't gamble on the Roosters, because I do not want to be that person. Like I love a bet. I like, obviously, have a bet on the horse racing and that on the weekends, and every now and then have to put a little cheeky multi on in the footy, but not for a Roosters game, because I just don't want to be that person to be ever really emotional about. Just say, for example, if you put a multi on the Roosters win, but one of your legs don't get up, you're going to be more upset because the multi didn't get up over your team winning. I don't want to be that person. And so that's why I never really do put any multis on the Roosters, because I'm more focused on my team winning and being happy, and be more cheerful when my team wins, instead of being a little bit cheerful that trying to, win some money off gambling kind of thing. So, but yeah, so that's what one of the crazy things and the dangerous things about having, emotions in sport when you have, gambling and money involved. This stuff can happen. And yeah, I'm just glad that it's the Roosters were quick to act on it, and have their line in the sand with that. And hopefully that the NRL Integrity Unit will go out and do their thing and find the people responsible and deal with them in the right, appropriate manner. Rugby League Therapy Podcast, like and subscribe. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Really do. Elf fans who did that. Look, I'm not going to go out and criticize the fans right in the way as like, oh, you're a piece of shit kind of thing. Like it's more of the education kind of thing. Like I'd rather see. I'm sure that the NRL and they're going to come down hard on them, and rightfully so. But like, it's a learning curve. People make mistakes. I've made mistakes. We all make mistakes. But just note, like, it's not on, and hopefully that you learn a lesson from it, because if it is a Roosters fan, which is allegedly to be, like, you don't deserve to wear our colours if you're doing that. It's just simple. It's a big no. But hopefully, all well is good, and you learn from it, kind of thing, and make sure you don't do it again, kind of thing. Yeah, gambling great, but the gambling advertising have the chill. Like, yeah, it's just everywhere. And you can see that, like, in New Zealand, that gambling is illegal to be advertised. Obviously, Unibet is one of our major partners at the Roosters, and when we're in New Zealand, we have to remove Unibet as a sponsor that day, because that's one of the New Zealand government laws around gambling and advertising. So it is then obviously switched by Gotcha for Life. And I'm going to say, though, the Gotcha for Life jerseys look really nice on the back. And obviously, we'll probably wear that again in round 4 when we take on Manly, where it's obviously the Gotcha for Life Cup. So, but yes, But yeah, so obviously it's a terrible situation, and hopefully the person involved, the player involved, is okay, and hopefully the NRL and the Roosters do everything they accord, they find the outcome, and hopefully we can all move on from this kind of thing. But yeah, look, obviously more chilled out approach from me than I was on Friday, because when I did see that comment on the Roosters socials on Friday night, especially after a loss, I was seeing red. But hopefully, it's all resolved quickly and we don't have to continue on talking about it. Another thing I wanted to talk about is around Connor Watson. Now, a lot of people were asking me about this on just everywhere in general over the last couple of days. And one thing, I said it in the play ratings as well, like on Friday, I was like, I still didn't have a really rough idea of what we're doing. And I think, and I did say in the play ratings, obviously I do rate the referee and coaching performances. In Robbo, I gave him a 4 out of 10, because I did think that Robbo got the interchange selections wrong on the weekend. And obviously it's tough though. Obviously you come into a game with a plan, and then moments before kickoff, your key front rower that was supposed to start gets ruled out with a hamstring injury. Obviously that's a little bit of a reshuffle to the lineup. But I think that would have been the perfect opportunity to go, all right, Watto is our 14. We can use him at lock, and then we have a Blake Steep, who does play lock, can come on and play as an extra forward, because obviously we lost the middle. And we had no middles on the bench because of, we had 2 outside backs on the bench. But we did bring in Celeste Fiketti, and obviously Celeste Fiketti wasn't going to play big minutes because he did play New South Wales Cup and out before. But he did well considering he only played 10 minutes, and he did well to fill in the role for us over the weekend. So, but obviously having Spencer ruled out late, meaning we had two middles on the bench, which was Egan Butcher and Siwa Wong, with Connor Watson, and obviously Celeste Fichetti was on the bench, but Celeste Fichetti played this World Cup, so he wasn't going to play big minutes anyway. So we're pretty much, because he only played 8 minutes, so we were literally left with two middles that played for 50 minutes. But what I didn't understand is that we had an Origin rep in Connor Watson who plays 14, throughout the All-Stars, he played 9, played lock. In the second trial game, played 9, played lock. And having a middle forward go down injured, moments before kickoff, Watto could have been injected into the game early, especially the fact that it was very, really tight in that first half. It was 10-6 for 10, 15 minutes. We were, sort of under the pump. I think that's when we should have injected Connor Watson into the game. Keep an eye at 9. He was doing a stellar job. Watto to 13. Give Blake Steep a rest and get him, then have Egan Butcher, Siwa Wong, and the Blake Steep on the bench to rotate through the middle, with Connor Watson covering the 9-13 role whenever Benai needed the rest. Move the 9, Blake Steep back on, or play in the middle with Egan, and then maybe Siwa Wong into the middle as well. Instead of just going Egan, Siwa into the middle, and then leaving to the 51st minute to bring Connor Watson into the game, because Connor Watson is an impact player. Connor Watson has a lot of speed around the ruck. They're very sharp. They're really sharp hookers and middlemen. Like, obviously, Watto can play 13. I think needed a little bit of that energy lift. Spencer creates that. Spencer's out injured. That's when we should have brought Connor Watson into the game around that 20, 30-minute mark and just change the momentum, because, there was a lot of things obviously didn't go our way on Friday night, but having Connor Watson there would have been, coming on, playing either 9 or 13 around that mark might have brought us bring some life back and a bit of energy back into the side. But obviously Robbo left it late to the 51st minute. And I think that's one of the things that I'm critical of Robbo, is that he has a game plan from Monday to Thursday. Brilliant, right? He has a brilliant game plan from Monday to Thursday. But it's sort of like Robbo, whenever something doesn't go right, like, for example, on Friday, we had Rob Toyer injured the day before, and Spencer Linu ruled out moments before kickoff. Robbo sort of has that mindset that the game plan's still going to work. He doesn't really have that. I don't think I've ever seen Robbo adapt that way. Like, with Spencer going down, we needed a reshuffle. The same thing wasn't going to work, and it clearly showed. Going with Egan Butcher and Siwa Wong rotating between Nat Butcher, Nafahu White, and Lindsay Collins for the first 50 minutes, and then only have Watto to come on, play 29 minutes off the bench after the 51st minute. It just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense at all, and that's always been a problem with Robbo, that he just doesn't have. Robbo doesn't have that. Doesn't really know how to adapt on the fly, and doesn't really have that plan. A plan B. He expects plan A to work, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm just overthinking that, but like, I just felt like, our bench wasn't used properly, and I know it didn't work out that way, because obviously we had a player ruled out moments full kickoff, right? Obviously disarray. Fuck, what do we do? But that's what it felt like. But we could have had that plan B in place, having, Connor Watson. He can play lock. All right, Blake Steep can play in the middle. Blake Steep can play big minutes in the middle. We've seen that last year. That would have been the perfect opportunity to go, all right, can Benaya play 80? Watto, we need you as a middle foot. We need you as a lock forward today, because we're middle down. Then that would, if Benaya couldn't do 80, that's fine. Then maybe come the 51st minute mark. All right, Benaya, have a 5-10 minute spell, 15-minute spell. Watto, go back to 9. Blake Steep, Siwa, lock. Instead of going, just keep the forward middle rotation the way it is. Then 51st minute, all right, Benaya, you're off. Watto on. Benaya, well done. That's your day done, kind of thing. It's just, that didn't make sense to me when I'm looking at it, because there was times in that first half where we needed a momentum shifter, and I think Watto could have been that guy to do it. And hopefully that we'll be able to see that similar that come Friday night. Hartley says, are they just pissed about losing to the Warriors? Are they a legit team? They are no bunnies. Warriors were good. Don't get me wrong. Like, Warriors are a good team. Like I said all week, like the Warriors are a tough team to win away from home. New Zealand, they're a tough team to beat. Obviously, they made it a fortress. It's very hard to go to New Zealand and get the 2 points. And I felt like that in times, in stages, that it felt like it was our right to go and create things that weren't on. But the Warriors played a simple game plan, and like I said, like the simple game plan is hold the football, and and be a disciplined side. We weren't that. We didn't complete our sets. We made 15 odd errors. We know 17-9 penalty count. Like, that's the thing that went wrong. And like I said, credit to the Warriors. They played really, really well. They really did. They took advantage of our chances. And they built pressure. And they stuck to their game plan and worked. So, like I said, congrats to the Warriors. They were far the better side on Friday night. But I think it was more the fact that we played terrible more than the Warriors played great. That's not me having a go at the Warriors. They played a good game, and then they did what they needed to do. They got the 2 points, and deservedly so. I just felt like that we sort of played bad more than the Warriors played good, if that makes sense. Charlie says, I'm pretty sure we had a slow and heavy start back in 18, and I think this might be a repeat, but I'm going into the half end of the season where we could be premiership contenders. Yeah, like, I don't think we should be, going too over the top over one bad performance in round one. Like, it's pretty well known that we're a really slow team to start the year. I get all of that. Obviously, it will take time to build that combinations with the spine. Obviously, you got to, even though the Warriors, they were missing players too, but, you look at our side, we're missing, Reece Robson, our hooker, big one. Victor Radley still got to come back. Rob Toy still got to come back. Spencer Leaney to come back as well. So I don't think there should be any panic whatsoever. Obviously, yes, it's not great losing, and obviously, and like I said, when we signed Daly Cherry Evans, the spotlight and the headlines are all going to be written around Daly Cherry Evans, regardless if we win or lose. And and I seen it coming when we lost if we lose round one. I knew this was going to be the case. The headline's going to be about DCE. He didn't perform, rah rah rah. But like we just got to remind ourselves that it is one game. The season isn't a write off after one bad performance, right? Obviously, it's pretty obvious that there is work to do, and I'm sure that Robbo and the coaching staff will have a plan, and hopefully, maybe a bit of a wake up call that they needed going into Friday night, and I'm sure. Friday night, the arch rivals await us at Allianz, at a sold-out Allianz, and I'm sure that the boys will be up for it. They demand a response, and I'm sure the boys will be putting their best foot forward come Friday night, and I know that will because I've seen it before. So, but yeah, obviously 18, 19, we've always been notorious slow starters, and I expect no different because it is the Roosters. But, come towards, and that's what Robbo has even said that to me personally before. Like, I've asked him before. This was like 2022. I asked Robbo. I had him in an interview one time. Well, not an interview, but it was part of my vlog one time. And I asked him before a game against the Broncos, like round 5. And I asked him, I was like, "How's the season been?" Blah blah blah. So far, and it was like he just said, it's building a season. Building the foundations for a season. So obviously, it didn't go to plan round 1, and I'm sure the boys, didn't go out there to lose on Friday night. They just didn't execute. So hopefully, we'll be able to rectify that come this week. And obviously, we've got a tough road ahead. Obviously, we've got Souths this week, who come off a win against the Dolphins today, followed up by the Panthers, both at home, winnable games, of course. Penrith are going to be tough, obviously, and then into Manly in round 4. And I know Manly are going to be motivated as ever for round 4 into a bye, then the Sharks. So it's a tough start to the season. So we need to make sure that we're fit and firing for Friday night because it's going to be a tough ask, that's for sure. And speaking of that, obviously Alex Johnston scoring a try today, and obviously the talk's going to be around Alex Johnston scoring. He needs 2 tries to break the record on Friday night, and obviously it is going to be it's going to be a wild night on Friday night. But like we know we can beat Souths. Souths weren't all that convincing today. The Dolphins' defense has always been notorious for being terrible, but it is going to be a tough ask, and I really hope that Toya is back because apart from the two fundamentals that we got wrong on Friday night with the errors and discipline, but that right side defense needs some work. And I know having Toya there will reassure that, but that left side from South, as much as I hate to admit anything in compliment anything around South Sydney, I do not want. I'm really concerned for Friday night if we don't get that right defense right, because most of the tries that the Warriors scored wasn't going around us. We can accept teams going around us and scoring, but the Warriors went through the middle, through the front door. Tanner Boyd show and go, Kurt Capewell bursting through a hole, one try of a kick I can live with, but like most of them were just through the middle, and it's very concerning. If we don't get that right side defense, Cody Walker, Latrell, and David Fafita, Alex Johnson, they're going to have a field day with us if we don't get it right. And that's my biggest concern about Friday night. But that's always those nerves when you play your arch rivals after a loss. It's never nice. So, but like, we're a better team than South, and I'm sure first game at home, we're going to be motivated as ever to make sure that we rectify the wrongs that we from Friday night. That's for sure. Lower grade results. Also, did we see Alex Johnson afterwards? Alex Johnson goes, I want to break the record at the Roosters home ground. So I do want to say to Alex Johnson, thank you very, very much for confirming that Friday night is a Roosters home game and it's the home of the Roosters. So get ready for Friday night can we, for the love of God, Marky Mark's not going to concede 2 tries on Alex Johnson. I can guarantee you that. I will guarantee you that, my friends. So we'll go through the little bit of a lower grade wrap up from the weekend. Obviously, we touched on it a little bit on Friday night, but the New South Wales Cup side kicked off their campaign in Auckland with a 48-14 win over the Warriors, and I think it was a really, really great performance from those boys there. That first half was really, really promising. The two standouts for me was obviously Reece Foley and Hayden Barton. Obviously, they featured in our trial games this year, and really, really look forward for them in the future. But Reece Foley, obviously doing a job for us. Obviously, Toby Rodwell was a late exclusion from the New South Wales Cup side because of the fact that he was part of the bench for the Roosters on the weekend, so he couldn't take part in the New South Wales Cup game. But Reece Foley stood up and had a really, really great performance there. Hayden Barton as well had a good involvement as well. Tommy Talau did play well, but obviously, unfortunately, injured his knee and off contact too. So a little bit of an injury cloud there from Tommy Talau, and hopefully, we wish all the fingers crossed it's not as what we think of an ACL injury. Hopefully, it's not the worst case scenario, but yeah, it doesn't look good. I'm sorry, wishing Tommy Talau all the best. But obviously on Saturday, the Jersey Fleet Cup, the Roosters did go down 44 points to 14. Great win for the Warriors there. Congrats to them. The junior representative sides, our SG Ball side, defending premiers, remain unbeaten with a 32-26 win over the Sharkies at Shark Park. It was a great performance there by the young Roosters lads there. And the Harold Mats, 38 points to 6 win over the Sharks as well in the Harold Mats competition. So I'll get a little bit of a ladder up for you guys too. Obviously, if you guys are wondering, the Roosters are currently 14th. So we had obviously we're not last. I think it's what? I think I'm going off the top of my head. Parallel last, Titans, Broncos. Yeah, we're about the Broncos. So we're all good. We're all good. Let me get the ladder up for the lower grades. In particular, SG Ball. I'm pretty sure we probably I think we're top of the comp in SG Ball. We're second in New South Wales Cup, so obviously it's round 1. Who really cares about the ladder in round 1? But yes, Roosters are level on points with the Rabbitohs in SG Ball. 5 wins out of 5 on 10 competition points. We have a better for and against. We got the Raiders this weekend. But yeah, so obviously it's a 10-round competition between the Roosters in the SG Ball and Harold Mats. But the Roosters are on top of the ladder, 5-0. Harold Mats, the Roosters 7th, so they're just around that finals mix there. The Harold Mats Roosters side, they are 7th. Central Coast Roosters are last and with 1 win in Harold Mats and an SG Ball. I think they're last as well. They're 0-5. So for the Central Coast Roosters, they're having a little bit of a tough year. The Roosters are Central Coast teams. What else have we got here? So Central Coast Roosters lost 18 points to 4 in Harold Matts against the Knights. 26-18 loss in HG Ball over the Knights. Andrew Johns Cup 18-14 loss to the Knights. And Laurie Daly 18 points to 14 against the Knights as well. So not a great day for the Central Coast Roosters on Saturday. 0-4. But we did get our junior Roosters sides. Our main Roosters sides are SG Ball and Harold Matts. They had great wins. Obviously, the Tasha Gale women's teams had the bye this weekend. So yeah, that's all a little bit of a pathway wrap up from the weekend. Obviously, obviously featured by the SG Ball, Harold Matts, and Central and New South Wales Cup teams with victories. So well done to them. Gregory says we'll bounce back, mate. Early days, but round 6 or 7 we'll see a different team. Yeah, exactly right. Every team will improve between now and the next couple of weeks or so. So it's not all doom and gloom. Like I said, I've pretty much close to moved on from Friday night. And I'm sure everyone involved in the football club is going to be feeling the same way as well. They'll have their deep review. They'll assess what's gone wrong, and then they'll reflect on it. And then come Monday, when they get back to training tomorrow, they'll be hitting the ground running. They'll move on from it, and set their sights for Friday night. And boy, isn't Friday night going to be an absolute blockbuster now against the Rabbitohs? Rabbitohs coming off a win. The Rabbitohs weren't special today either. Let's be frank. Yeah, they scored 40 points. They weren't special. They had like 3 tries gifted to them. So, but anyway, we know what we're capable of, and hopefully Friday night we send a statement against our arch rivals at home, and stop AJ scoring 2 tries and get our season underway with a win against the arch rivals. That'd be really nice. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. I'm just going to go through. I've got a message here and a few DMs from out the weekend. I'm just going to read those before we finish up. Coach Robertson taking zero accountability again. Coaching the most undisciplined team. Very hard to lose this. There's some Butchers need to go. They need, obviously, boys. Robbo and Connor only play 3 minutes with a joke. The next 2 games are going to be tough to watch. Look, you can get the frustration, but I think is though, it's not unfamiliar territory with us too. You know what I'm saying? Like we've been in these positions before where we come off a heavy defeat in round 1, and we made a statement the following week. So, I don't think we need to go we don't need to go overboard over the weekend. Like I know it's never nice to lose, but I don't think there's any panic within the 4 walls of this football club. There is no panic. It was a tough outing. Round 1, dust ourselves off. We'll go again. So it's all right. It's all right. We go again Friday night and just back the boys all the way through. We got got some questions in from you guys, and we'll finish up from there. Antonio says, tough gig, but boys will bounce back. Toyo, Robson, and Spencer, massive outs. They were. And we get those guys back soon, so, we'll be fine. They trying to be the way too flashy for round 1. Low percentage plays were unnecessary. Yeah, I got to agree, Samuel. There was a few uncharacteristic errors from Sam Walker, like the grubber kick on tackle 1. Like it's a coach killer, And I felt like that we was too keen, too eager. We didn't have to score points every set, And I felt like, yes, we're down by 10 points. It was about 10, 15 minutes ago. The scoreboard pressure and all that kind of stuff. It does come into play, but, one thing that we didn't do was build pressure. We didn't have much ball in the first half. We didn't have much field position at all. That's when we needed to, build some pressure back because we were troubling the Warriors in so many areas. Obviously, Billy Smith on that left edge was very, very scary, and he was creating havoc for that young center on the Warriors on the right-hand side. And we just didn't build pressure. We didn't create those chances enough. But, I'm sure, we'll see. The boys will review what went wrong, and they'll rectify that. And I expect a better performance Friday night. I just can't see them playing badly 2 games in a row, especially when Souths stand across you on the other side of the field. So, but yeah, I trust the boys. We'll turn it around next week. Tyler says disappointing and embarrassing. Sam says Connor needs to play more. DC will get better when everything doing their job. Yeah, and it's not all on DCE either, right? It wasn't all on DCE. Like we said, DC wasn't great. He had some nice things. Defensively was my biggest concern from that game. I think that the combination with him and Sam Walker is there. It's just going to take time to build. And obviously the experience of having DC on the field, I think throughout the week, that's when DC and Tedesco need to go to him and say, mate, like, I see what you're trying to do there. And like if Capewell doesn't read it and sticks a hand out and flukes an intercept like that, and it gets through on the line, most likely either DC or Egan Butchen scores there. And then, it's a whole different game. But, you've got to also earn the right to do so. We didn't earn the right to try and score off the flashy plays. We needed to score by building pressure. But I'm sure that will come over time. Luke Bentley says the 2 hands for a bomb rule is going to hurt us. Reduce marks and tubes as weapons. Yeah, I didn't understand most of that, to be honest with you. Just that, yeah. All these rule changes and shit just makes no sense to me at this point. Pretty much the same thing is pretty much talking about is Watson needs more minutes. And I totally agree with you. Stop being so flashy. The flick passes weren't needed on first tackle and those kicks by Walker. Yeah, pretty much. It's just we're trying to be too fancy and it wasn't the time to do it. We've got to earn the right to create those chances. Typical ill discipline. Same shit, different year. All 3 Robbo premierships have lost in round 1 so we can carry on. Exactly right. Premierships ain't won in round 1. I'll just start with that. I do not look forward to round 1 every year. We've even lost to the Tigers and the Knights, for fuck's sake. I was at that game when we lost to the Knights in the SCG in 2022. That was a very, very flattening, disappointing performance, similar to what we saw last night. I was more disappointed on Friday night than I was, like I said on Friday, I was more disappointed about Friday night's performance than I was when we lost to the Broncos last year, because I walked out of the Allianz on round 1 against the Broncos, losing 50-14 or something, whatever the score was. And I literally walked out and I said, you know what? We didn't even play all that bad. The Broncos just blew us off the park, and there's not much we could have done more about it. The Broncos scored like 5 tries on tackle 5, like fluke tries. But Friday night, we were just absolutely awful. And I felt more disappointed on Friday night than it was against the Broncos, to be fair. Last year. Errors and discipline needs to be fixed. Been an issue ever since we went back-to-back. Putrid says Owen. Young Guns, Junior Ponga and Leo shied why they deserve more minutes. Yeah, Benai was good. Junior was good. Junior always comes in and does a job. I don't think he played all that great, but he did do his best. And I see how well he can play. So. And if he is playing on Friday night, he's got a tough assignment ahead of him. And he's done it before. He has played in the big game against South before and done his job perfectly. So I give every faith in Junior Ponga on Friday night. Right, I think that might do us, ladies and gentlemen. We're about 45 minutes, probably a little bit longer than I expected, I will say. But yeah, so that will conclude tonight's stream. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, everyone, for your support over the week. Tui says we'll finish up. Every club will sadly have these type of fans who threaten the players. Tough man. Yeah, look, it's one bad egg doesn't rectify us as a fan base. There's some great people. There's some great fans in this football club. You look no further than Wayne Leong, right? You look no further than him. He's one of the best Roosters fans on the planet. There's so many good people that support this club. So one bad egg doesn't, describe us as a fan base and describes us at all, but we do have to, and this is the moments when we have to call this shit out because it's just not acceptable. So thank you everyone who tuned in throughout the week. We'll continue rolling on through our game week content. Obviously, we'll be back tomorrow for our news roundup for Monday. We'll have our player rating, our team predicted lineup video out for you guys Monday evening. So stay tuned for what I have in this lineup because I still haven't decided yet on what Robbo will go with for for Friday night's game. Obviously, team list reaction on Tuesday, Chook Chat podcast on Wednesday, Thursday match preview. On Friday, I will be at the game. I'll be at Allianz for the derby against South on Friday night. Can't wait for it. Obviously, you'll see my exclusive game day vlog on the Haynesy YouTube channel. Obviously, I'll get the links out throughout the week, and obviously, we'll be filming a match recap. Probably if Lummy's there, we'll do one with Lummy, maybe Brody, or even Leaguey. We'll get someone on to do a little bit of a match recap for you guys on Friday night, and but obviously won't be a match reaction. Probably until I get back home from Sydney on probably Sunday night on the weekend wrap up. We'll go through a deeper dive next week about the performance against Souths. And obviously we'll have our player ratings videos and match recaps throughout Friday and Saturday as well. So we got plenty of game week content continuing to roll through. So thank you everyone who tuned in tonight. Thank you for tuning in over the week. Welcome to our new subscribers. Great to have you guys in here. Great to see the community starting to build. I really do appreciate your time coming out your way and tuning in on the Diehards every day. So really appreciate it. Right, folks, that will do us for tonight. Hope you guys enjoy. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and give us a follow on the Instagram for your latest Roosters updates, news, and opinions. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.